This might be my new best friend here. And they might have pulled a good heel move. This is Goldie Hoffman. I get a lot of ads on Facebook for right-wing content. And a lot of bad right-wing comedy, and that's what I thought this was, but I think Goldie might be cool. I think we might enjoy what she has to say. Possibly. Maybe she's lame. She's gonna tell us why Dave Chapelle was right with his SNL monologue. And not a bad green screen job. And rocking a mullet. So let's see what we got here.
Thank you very much for inviting me to cookout barbecue, Mr. Chapelle, but I'm going to have to decline. And I just wanted to read a brief statement that I prepared. I denounce anti-black racism in all its forms, and I stand with my friend in a black community. And that is how you buy yourself some time. Early in my career, I learned that there are two words in the English language that you should never say together in sequence. And those words are the and blacks. Never heard someone do good after they said that. Vaguely, I remember it started with a tweet, a strange tweet.
If you have not watched Chapelle's monologue, she's doing it. Like that's his monologue. That's the stand-up bit that he did. But she is changing Chapelle saying Jews to the blacks.
It was like, I'm feeling a little sleepy. When I wake up, I'm gonna go DEFCON 3 on the blacks. And then he just went to bed. I was up all night worried. What is he gonna do to the blacks? I grew up around black people. I have a lot of black friends, so I'm not freaked out by your culture. I know a little bit about it just by hanging around, like, yo, let's go out after school tomorrow. And they'd be like, well, you can't go out. He's Kwanzaa. I'd be like, what? What is Kwanzaa? I have so many questions. Why do some of you people...
That joke doesn't really land because, like, the joke with Dave Chapelle talking about Jewish people's different holidays is like, Jewish people really do have a lot of holidays. You had to come up with a holiday that, like, not even a very large percentage of fucking black people celebrate. So the joke doesn't land as well as Dave Chapelle landed it. Just saying.
Dressed like Robert Baratheon? It's just a rule. You know, the rules of perception. If they're Jewish, then it's a minion. If they're Italian, it's a mob. But if they're black, it's a coincidence and you should never speak about it.
See, also flipping that joke around doesn't really work.
He posted a link to a movie that he had seen on Amazon, no caption on.
Ooh, I was so like, I was like, she might be onto something here. I might be into this. I'm not. Ooh. That joke didn't work flipping it around. No one's accused black people of having a conspiracy to rule the world. Like, it doesn't work.
On the poster, nothing like that. But apparently this movie had some racist, anti-black tropes, and it had some weird title like The Nation's Home Birth in a Tub. But this is where, I draw the line. No black people have been through terrible things all over the world. But you can't blame that on the Czechoslovakians. You just can't. You know what I mean?
No.
A fair punishment would be to just post a link to 12 Years a Slave and y'all just write your own captions. Because his white ass was nowhere near slavery.
Tones, good evening, my friend.
I'm certain it existed. I've been to Atlanta. And I don't want y'all to get mad at me. I'm just telling you.
See, the joke doesn't... 12 Years a Slave doesn't deny that slavery happens. So the joke doesn't work, because the movie that Kyrie shared out denies the Holocaust. Yes, you do need to send me photos of your black pussy.
You live in sexual anarchy?
My black pussy was just in here a little bit ago. He was biting and clawing at my foot. I like the concept. She did not execute the concept well. And I'm so disappointed because you could flip this on its head. And you could make a statement with it. I just maybe she's going somewhere and we haven't completed the ride yet. Let's see if she can hit the landing.
This is just what I saw. It's a lot of blacks. A lot.
A lot of white people too.
But that doesn't mean anything. You know what I mean? There's a lot of white people in Boise, Idaho. Doesn't mean we run the place. I can't see if you
okay. The joke with Chapelle was like, he's like, we're in Hollywood, you're looking around, there's a lot of Jews here. There's a lot of black people in Ferguson, Missouri. It doesn't mean that we run the place. That's funny because Ferguson has a predominantly black population and they don't run the place. Boise, Idaho has a predominantly white population and does run the place. So the joke doesn't, you can't switch it out. His joke's about an exaggeration of the truth. Oof.
might go out to Detroit or Chicago. You might start connecting some kind of lines and could maybe adopt the delusion that the blacks run criminal gangs and drug business.
Oof.
It's not a crazy thing to think, but it's a crazy thing to say out loud in a climate like this. Got nothing but love for all y'all. God bless you. And in the words of Irving Berlin, God bless America.
Hate the Protestants.
Irving Berlin.
Hindus hate the Muslims and everybody.
What? Hey Goldie, what's going on?
What's up? Okay, so nothing's going right for you. I mean, to be fair to you, just to everyone watching, you did say in the email clearly to join in the waiting room at 1:45. I did not do that.
Around. I think I said around. I'm not a stickler for time.
Around, but I came at 5. That's not around. So I'm going to take that hit. So.
Well, I was like, I don't even know if Goldie is here or not. And I'm like, oh, there she is. Check it out.
That's some good weed.
Haven't even smoked it yet.
Yeah, but you're perma stone from what I can tell. So.
Well, that's what we'll say. That's what we'll go with.
I'm a vino person.
Cheers.
Yes, cheers. Box vino.
Awesome. Well, okay, so let me tell you the story of how I came across you. Originally, I thought you were some dumb fuck right-winger, and I'm totally like, that is not true at all. Oh, she's like, Maybe I am. No.
Could be. It's all relative.
No, it's not. It's not relative. That's not a relative thing at all.
We'll get into that.
So I saw your video and I'm like, ooh, because that's what we do here. We play like dumb fuck right wingers and we make fun of their videos. But then as I kind of saw your online presence, I'm like, no, there's more to this. I've been taken in here. And then we watched the video and like everyone really enjoyed the setup, and I just like it kind of fell flat. For those of you that don't remember, that was the Dave Chapelle parody of Chappelle's monologue from SNL. And Goldie, you did a great job with green screening it, with doing the character.
I gotta say, that compliment was the best compliment, because it was a bunch of neon green t-shirts taped with masking tape on the wall, and I kept fighting with it, and I was like, stop being a fucking ADD perfectionist. Come on, it's okay, it's okay, it's okay. And I'm like, no, it has to be close. Give them a taste of what we saw when we turned it on. I need that state, and I just wouldn't let it go. And that's why it's a week late,
Well, you did a good job of keying everything and making it look good.
I think it's just, you're just saying that because I look like you. The character, apparently, that I was channeling as your classic MAGA white dude, apparently, according to your live chat, some of your fans, stands, said it looks like you. So
I missed that one.
Yeah. I don't know if that was a compliment, because some people might find that guy good looking. So.
Ooh, I mean, I wouldn't kick him out of bed.
There you go. You see, got one fan.
So I think the thing that we were off about is like, so you probably didn't hear me when I watched Dave Chappelle's monologue and was like, wow, that's incredibly anti-Semitic. You probably didn't see me actually break down Dave Chappelle's monologue.
I didn't. Why didn't you send me that? Because I would have prepared, as every good guest does.
That might have been the week before or something that we watched your skit.
I saw that one, but I didn't see you break down. Oh, okay, yeah.
Because so I found several things about Chappelle's monologue funny, but my God, did he ever play into tropes that don't need to be played into anymore?
Well, you already say tropes. Already that word was like some tropes or something. So people don't know what those are. So just even what a trope is or a stereotype, and they're loosely now used interchangeably, but they're not. But they don't know what is anti-Semitic about it. That to me was one of the worst. I'll let you go, but one of the worst comments for me.
Oh no, I want to get into what you were thinking.
I want to talk, so.
So let's go back to like when you watched Dave Chappelle's monologue. What went through your mind?
Firstly, I just right away I heard the tropes. I'm Jewish. I was first as a child. Well, we won't go through the whole history, but I was raised Hasidic as a child, as a kid in New York and Crown Heights, and then we moved to Montreal, where we were just regular Jews. And then I went to Vancouver. Now I'm here in California. So I studied a lot of history, both Jewish, not American history. I needed to catch up on shit I wasn't taught. Black history. And I saw them immediately, but I knew what the audience wasn't necessarily seeing. I thought people were laughing, A, because of discomfort, and B, as I say, celeb worship. It's Chappelle, so it must be funny. I really don't get it, but that's an inner monologue of a lot of people. It's funny because it's Chappelle, greatest comedian. And so we say these things, speaking of tropes and mantras, and it colors you. I mean, it colors your opinion, because if he was someone else, we strip back his set. He had some, I watched it again trying to be objective, which is impossible fully, I grant. But when I was watching it objectively, I'll give him the Kyrie callback. Kanye callback. That was I like a good callback. So he called back for the chain. Now he's not a millionaire. He's been demoted. He lost money, shoeless because of the Adidas. That was like, if I analyze, like, that's funny. I'm asking, when I watched your takedown, and no one's talked about this. People have talked about, like, all the big names and stuff have addressed when the fuck do Jews, we can swear, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Fucking swear.
Yeah, when the fuck do Jews ever blame blacks for all the shit they've been through? So that line was weird, and that's why I added the crickets, because he did get silence. And in fact, he says, thank you, one guy who wooed just because, I don't know, Chapelle. So he's I want to support you. I don't want you to feel like, I don't know, like whatever's out of his mouth, it's gold, right? And people, even people who think, oh, I don't do that. I don't celeb, or we do. Everyone does. And I said we. Blue tick near their name, it gets more response, gets more views, it gives an authenticity, whether subconsciously or consciously. So that's bullshit. And I find a lot on the left, you have more people who would think that. Like, I'm not like that. I'm really,
we tell people don't hero worship around here, because we've, especially like I've been through it so many times that the people that like I really looked up to turned out to be really shitty people.
Never meet your heroes, right? That line is so fucking true. Like I'm an actor, I'm a comedian, and I have the worst run-ins.
And you're Jewish now, isn't that ironic?
Right. Okay. So let's go into some stereotype. Unfortunately, as I like to say, Jews have done well. Everyone talks about how well they some people don't know we came to this country really fucking poor, but in really quickly in terms of upward social mobility, Jews have done, and people discuss that, not necessarily in anti-Semitic ways, but they've been very successful for a variety of reasons and values. And so they're considered, oh, Jews have money. Well, my parents didn't get that memo. So I just want to say, I have to deal with the stereotypes of like fucking Jew in Hollywood. And my beef is, if I'm going to have to deal with that and all the hate that comes with that, at least give me the Jew money. I do not have that. I grew up single parent home mostly, especially in Montreal, food stamps, welfare. There's a lot of Jews below the poverty line. Of course, you're not going to see them. They're not going to be talked about. Yes, we receive charity. Yes, the community is really big on philanthropy and giving back, both to the community, its own poor, but also outside. And that doesn't get enough credit or get recognized. But listen, I don't know how we're getting here, but if you want to hate Jews, you can do it on any side. I know you call yourself, I guess, a leftist. The left.
Why would I hate you? Whoa, that's a big leap there. Why would I hate you? Well, first of all, I would like to point out that like the over-concentration, over-representation of Jewish people in the media has to do with the fact that they were locked out of a lot of other areas of society. So they had, and comedy wasn't seen as this high level, high society thing that it is now. No, like,
it just happened like 20 years ago.
Yeah, 50 years ago, comedians were seen as the dregs of society. So there being a lot of Jewish comedians.
We are a humor culture, and that is true. And I actually would say, funny, we talk about with Jews and blacks. Blacks have that too, the black community. And there's a lot of discussion if you go into sociology of humor. It's considered perhaps a survival mechanism for communities that have gone through a lot of shit and trauma. And it's how you survive. The wry, the dark jokes, the depressing shit, the self-deprecating, yes. And the families, the crazy. So I've always admired the black community for its prizing of humor and respect of it. But anyway, what I just lost my train of thought, but yeah.
it's totally cool. But I brought it up, I think last week on the stream as well.
No, I got to cut in.
Okay, do it.
It was Hollywood. People do not know, because they don't study history, give a shit. Yes. Do you know why Jews predominate in Hollywood? Because the film industry, quick history lesson, that was my major, gotta use it when I can. So the film industry was New York, which is why they still have film. Everything was New York. What the fuck was California? Nothing. Desert. Edison, who ran, the Edison, ran the film industry, one of the heads in New York, was a huge, virulent anti-Semite, hated the Jews. So they wouldn't hire them. So they went out, these are newish immigrants or whatever, a lot of them were not wealthy, went out to get cheap land in the fucking desert and built studios there. So they were shut out once again. That's the whole history always of Jews, is like, fuck you, we don't want you. And then the Jew keeps trying, please, I'm one of you, I can assimilate. No, fuck you, you're not. And finally, the Jew goes, okay, well, while I try to get accepted, I'm also gonna I'm gonna fight the racism and discrimination. I'm also gonna go and build my own, because I still want to do this.
And that goes back to the overrepresentation in banking as well, because like Christians had laws on usury and the Jewish people didn't, and that's why Jewish people could lend money, and it was this.
Well, we're not. It's in the Old Testament. Well, what you call it, it's the Hebrew Scriptures. Old Testament is a Christian-centric way of looking at it, because we don't have a New Testament. By the way, I'm an atheist, but I'm saying for Judaism.
Fair enough.
But anyway, so technically,
you got a puppy. You got to show the puppy.
Okay.
We're in the middle of a serious conversation, and
yes. By the way, I just need to address that giant wine glass. Yes, it is a fucking giant. I actually bought that like at the church thrift store, and it like has some winery name. And a friend was coming over, and I just got them. I'm like, this will be funny. Like, those wine glasses that are almost as big as the bottle. But yeah.
Is it weird that I didn't find it unusually large?
Possibly, yes. Because I even held it up for perspective. Sometimes things look, obviously, if I hold it in, but it is pretty fucking big.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I didn't. Okay, I'm non-observant, and also I was rushing to get everything. The fact that we're having a show right now is just a wonder, to be honest with you.
Wait, non-observant? What?
Non-observant. I didn't notice that wine glass was comically huge.
See, I'm so in religious mode. I'm like,
yes, I do. I am non-observant when it comes to Jewish culture.
Right. Because people will say that I'm Jewish, but I don't observe. And I was like, you're Jewish? What?
I am not. And you can tell right away. But apparently, the people on the Nazi platforms like BitChute and Rumble, they all think I'm Jewish. So I get a little.
True. And you just keep trying to get in, right? You're like, listen, I am not. I know it's my hair. You got to cut the hair.
I don't mind. Like, I don't find it a. They just call everyone Jewish. That could be it. I speak like a lib turd, so I'm Jewish.
It might be a compliment because, not because it's good being Jewish. It's always suffer. But I mean, because hey, they're very not into us dissing the white supremacists, I guess. But anyway, so in those scenes, and even any anti-Semitic scene, they often will have what's called a positive stereotype. They're really smart and clever. They have high IQs, and it's always said with this nefarious, like, secret thing.
Oh, they're even like hunched over and shit.
They might be calling you smart, shockingly. So,
are your dogs, instead of being good boys, they're proud boys?
Proud boys. Ooh, one of them is a girl. I mean, I may be sadly misgendering her, but too bad. So I've assigned their fucking gender by just observing it, basically. Good old biology. There's the dick, and there was the veg. And that's a whole other discussion.
So we've ironed out the anti-Semitism. We've gotten on the same page here, and then you wanted to come in with some transphobia. What?
No. Okay, my dogs. Maybe she does have this issue. They have another issue that I infantilize them. So lots of issues stacking up. But
better to infantilize than infanticide. So.
Oh no, none of that. Definitely, just very vanilla in my porn taste. But moving back to anti-Semitism. Okay, so real quick, when you were doing the thing down, I still want to ask anyone. If I'm calling their bluff, like, what is funny about, I'm going to give you one line. A better punishment, this is when he says this, is Kyrie should be, make him watch Schindler's List and y'all write your own captions. What the fuck does that mean? For being honest.
God, I see.
Someone explain it, because no one wants to touch it because it's Chapelle and all hail to Chapelle. And I'm just being honest. I liked a lot of his stuff early. This is not one of them.
I should have watched this again because I don't remember that line.
Preparation. Yeah, that's what he said, because you thought I was talking about the movie. I made a joke about Birth of a Nation. because the Kyrie movie opens up with virulent anti-Semitism. So I'm like, you want to play that? Because the whole thing is to flip it. Would that be acceptable? Like he plays with the words of the actual title of the movie that Kyrie posted. So I did the same. But before that, he said a better punishment. So I said the 12 years a slave line. What the fuck does that even mean? No one's called him out on it. And he just chuckles to himself. And everyone's like, I guess I gotta laugh because it must be funny.
See, I should have watched this again, but I was very ill prepared for today.
Take my word for it. What is funny about that line?
So the line that really stuck with me, and the line that like didn't land with you that I specifically brought up, was the he's in Hollywood and looking around, and there's a lot of Jewish people here. Because there's a lot of Jewish people here doesn't mean they run everything. A lot of black people in Ferguson, and they don't run everything. And the reason why that was so funny to me is because that is absolutely true. The black population of Ferguson, and we learned this during the Hands Up, Don't Shoot, the Mike Brown protest. Was that there's been so many shootings, it's hard to remember.
Yes,
but this was back like 2014 in the Ferguson protests.
Right.
That was one of the things that we learned, was that the population of Ferguson was overwhelmingly black, but their police force was being like brought in from the suburbs and was overwhelmingly white, and the city government was overwhelmingly white. So that's why, Chapelle saying that black people are
a known trope. We control Hollywood and the media and the world, and don't come after me, whoever they are, as he enters.
But
that is the Nazi. Yes, it plays right into
that's the trope. Yes, but
right.
then he gave the example.
Saying that we do control it. Then
he
because
gave
unlike Ferguson, break it down. Who the blacks don't. What the Jews do is what's left there.
But no, he was saying that there being a lot of Jewish people in Hollywood is not an example of them running everything.
No, he was being facetious there. That is the joke.
I don't
doesn't
think
mean anything, right? Like, come on.
Do you? Okay.
Like, that's the joke.
Do you think that Dave Chapelle thinks that Jews really do run everything in Hollywood?
Yes, I do. I think he holds a lot of actually anti-Semitic tropes and beliefs. And I think some of that, I can't diagnose him. I don't know the guy. I think a lot of it, everyone's like, oh, Chapelle's back, from his huge hiatus. Listen, I have family mental health issues myself. Sometimes you have too many breakdowns or you have a giant one. You don't fully come back. I don't think he fully is him, the one that everyone's venerating. And that's fine. We go through phases. We age out of things. He's now a member, I believe, of Nation of Islam. That is anti-Semitic religious group. Now, technically, they would call themselves Muslim, but it's an offshoot, not necessarily mainstream Islam. So different people, it's like Seventh-day Adventists or Jehovah's. Technically they're Christian, but I don't know if mainstream Christianity agrees. So Nation of Islam is very virulently, Farrakhan leads them. And I do think that's had influence. And with Kyrie, it's the black Hebrew Israelites. Mm-hmm. That's more of a Christian Judaic kind of cult. So cults abound, and stars like to join them. They are easy prey for cults. Anyway, I do think that might have had an influence. These are just me talking out of my ass, theorizing. I do think he thinks a lot of these things, and he agreed with there's a lot of convergence and beliefs in these anti-Semitic tropes and stereotypes, and even just outright fabrications and lies, but that goes with that.
Absolutely.
That both groups have. So I tried to sit through the Kyrie movie. Kudos to
Wow,
him.
You tried to watch it?
Have you tried?
No.
I couldn't. It was a PowerPoint. It's a fucking PowerPoint.
Ooh, that bad production value.
Like, it was pain. I couldn't do it. And I'm like, I guess I've been too many years out of college. I can't sit through this.
Producer Dave from Echoplex, have you watched it? That's more his thing. He watches conspiracy movies.
Anyway, turns out Kyrie said he didn't watch it, and I actually believe it because there's no way he watched it. I challenge anyone watching, please try to watch 20 minutes of it. First of all, the first 20 minutes is a trailer for the director. So you'll first be like, is this the right hacked download copy? Because I wasn't going to pay.
It might be terms of service. You might not be able to watch it. The
No,
Kyrie...
I found the link, and it is part of it because I've seen a review. That is part of the movie. So it is correct. The first 20 minutes is his upcoming projects. And like, fuck, is this another fucking bullshit? Like, I got the wrong link. You know, they're like, here it is. And then it's like, damn it, you don't have it yet.
Inwards to Hebrews, is that what it's called?
Hebrew, I forget. But Wake Up Black America.
Yeah, it's odd.
It's basically, and it gives false complete in the first actual 20 minutes. So after the 20-minute trailer, that is part of the movie. Again, quotes, because it's mainly a really shoddy PowerPoint. And I know it was made on $8,000, I think, which is low budget, really, really low. I still don't see the $8,000, but anyway. So in the beginning, it's just a bunch of quotes about Jews that are fabrication. Henry Ford, he quotes a known anti-Semite from the Book of Jew, and then it does things like, "This is from a reliable source."
So I was getting ready to say, Henry Ford was like a Nazi, wasn't he?
Right, but let's give him a quote, and then it proves that it's true, because I'm putting it in the movie, in the PowerPoint. There's like nothing substantiated, and then after that 20 minutes of Jew bashing and weird non-following, non-secular, and Jews in the slave trade, which has become a recent thing, very untrue, by the way. Very, very tiny Jews amounts in percentage-wise have ever been part of the slave trade. We definitely did not run that one. We barely participated in it among Southern Jews. And in fact, Jews were a big part of the civil rights protests. Anyway, then after that part of the movie, it starts and it talks, basically its main thesis is that all these tribes around the world are the lost tribes. The 10 tribes of Israel, if you remember your...
Well, that's a conspiracy theory, isn't it? That black people are actually the real Jewish people.
Oh, right. But then we are the fake Jews. So, as somebody said, and this is total theft because I don't know who said it, but if I'm the fake Jew, but it was on Twitter, then stop blaming me for killing Jesus. So it can't be both. It can't be both. But they still will shit on us. We did everything, but I thought you said we weren't the real Jews. Like, there's no, again, when you're trying to find logic it's not even circular logic. It's worse than that. It's like, it goes like, I'm trying to follow.
Ration with people that didn't come to these beliefs rationally, and I don't know.
I even asked them to explain it, and it doesn't. They can't. Like, it goes in this, like, I don't know where it's going. That's just me doing how I would describe the logic versus circular logic, which is also frustrating. This is even worse than circular logic. It's just like, suddenly they're like, and then shoe, and then wine. I'm like, what? Wait, what? Like, we're not even speaking sentences. Like, suddenly you just lost. Again, I challenge someone. Maybe, clearly, I'm not smart enough for that PowerPoint movie. Go ahead, watch it, tell me. But the main part of the movie, and other archaeologists have looked at this, Jewish and not Jewish, what happened to those 10 lost tribes? Because Jews, technically, the theory is we were Judea, and that's why it's, and Jacob line. But we lost through the diaspora and the Romans dispersing the Jews. But we take that name. They've been called different things in history. Hebrews, Israelites, and then Judah, Jewish, which unfortunately now in today's modern times, you can be Jewish. They mean Judaism, the religion, but also the ethnicity or the race. If you want to, there's no human races, but history makes them in sociology speaking. I mean, blacks aren't a real race, but they suffer racism. That doesn't work, which everyone does. Oh, you can't because Jews aren't even a race. Oh, good one. Okay, so then you just hate Jews. Like,
think of it as more of an ethnicity than a religion. But let me catch everybody up for people that may have came in a little late.
That proves already that it's not just a religion. It's an old culture. It predates these terms, so it doesn't fit into your little categories of, but is it a nation? But is it a race? But is it a religion? These are modern terms. We're older.
That is correct. That's a great way of looking at it. But this is comedian Goldie Hoffman. She is
I'm
doing
supposed to be funny, but yeah.
No, you've done a great job. You've been far funnier than the skit that we watched. That was what I
Mine
liked.
or his? I'm gonna say that's on his.
I liked your point. I didn't think you landed the delivery. I was like, where's the funny? I need the funny to come in here.
I'm gonna agree with you, but except that I felt that about the original. So you're only noting it's not funny because I'm doing an effective job. I'm showing you it's not. It's not funny. That's how I felt. But you couldn't see that it's not funny because you're like blinded, maybe you or everyone, by the Chapelle thing. Or
No. I called out what was problematic about it.
Right, but what's funny about it versus like it's the same. I'm trying to show you it's not funny. Like what is funny about the original?
But okay, back to the joke that I was telling you about. Like the Ferguson has an overwhelming black population, but they don't run everything. You flipped that and said there's a lot of people in Idaho, or there's a lot of white people in Idaho, but they don't run everything.
Right. That's not I will grant you that wasn't the best. That's not a good comparison. But
white people run Idaho. That's
right. But the joke he was making is, but that doesn't mean anything, right? I mean, Jews are in Hollywood, but hey, I'm not saying anything because I mean, there's a lot of blacks and they don't control everything. So I guess Jews don't, right? But he's saying they do. That's the joke.
I guess, like
yes,
I was more.
What else is it?
I guess I was more charitable.
You took it
just
literally,
to think that
the Jews don't run any. It doesn't mean it. You took it like face value.
Yeah,
that's bullshit. He was saying they do. Like there's a shit ton of, and even just turning on the TV. Imagine hearing, here's a lot of blacks.
I do. I hear it all the time.
But we don't.
We do.
Out.
Yeah. It has.
Right, it's not acceptable. It's called
It has
racist.
come to the point to where all Fox News has to say is Chicago.
Right, and we call it out. We say it's racist. The difference is we have a double standard with the Jews. We don't give a shit or see anti-Semitism.
But I did call it out.
No, I don't know what you said, but I'm saying the larger people, most people are defending the monologue and saying it wasn't. I don't see anything wrong with it. I don't see the anti-Semitism, and that's why I had to flip it. You don't see it because it's about Jews, and you don't see anti-Semitism, and you don't think they suffer it, and you think they're a privileged community, and then it goes through a lot of lists, and then you get into the Victim Olympics and stuff that have nothing to do with the face value of is this anti-Semitic.
Well, he absolutely reinforced several tropes throughout his monologue, and that was the thing that I took issue with.
And he believes them. I argue. And even if you didn't believe them, am I going to go up and a Jewish comic's going to go start confirming black tropes like the ones I was mentioning? So they're different tropes. We don't have the same ones. The ones that Jews have. What's the black one? What are some tropes? That they fill our prisons, not because there's discrimination, but because they're more criminal.
Yes.
Right. These are tropes. So like that's why my character does that one. Like, but the tropes about Jews, we control things. We have too much money, and we got the money. Any money we have is through nefarious means. We are overly evil. We are pitting communities against each other. I keep doing this because I'm reminded by the Nazi of the globe, and I'm like, that's what we do
absolutely.
at night around the world. And I forgot to bring my space lasers, by the way, for Marjorie Taylor Greene. I did get some. Light show, fun.
So do you feel that in dealing with these topics, we need to couch it like how I mentioned earlier, that a lot of these tropes come from the fact that like Jews were locked out of society. They were locked out of several of the industries, so they had to go into banking.
Right. And
how do we deal with this?
So it's learning history, but nobody wants to do that. So I don't know. I mean, there's no shortcut I even say, even for the internet age, for college and university, you're not allowed to use Wikipedia. I think it's pretty good. And I know that you have people fighting the edits, but generally just even going anti-Semitism on Wikipedia is too much reading for people.
Oh, Wikipedia is fantastic. Let me go ahead and throw that out there.
I say, honestly, for your self-teaching needs, most of it's okay. Obviously, there is some wars on it.
But there's a reason you can't cite it in a college paper, though. That's different than Wikipedia being accurate.
Right, and people are editing. They have fights. Like if it's a really controversial topic, like let's say Israel-Palestine, you have people editing like by the second, fighting both sides on topics that, because things are murky and some major issues. So anyway, but for the most part, like historical stuff is pretty good. I've seen, like, I just searched like Wikipedia, anti-Semitism, history of anti-Semitism. And one thing he really attributed to, and no one knows about, and both of those groups, Nation of Islam and the Hebrew Israelites, to use a lot of tropes from, is the protocols of the elders of Zion. And I had to learn about this. And it's a forgery, a Tsarist forgery about Jews, literally. And it's published to this day. It's making a comeback. It never really went out. Henry Ford used it. Mein Kampf, Hitler referenced it. It's really popular right now all over the Middle East. So this is before, this is, again, before Israel, but this is back. And you got to look up the protocols of the elders of Zion. You'll see it right there, that we have a secret cabal. That's where they're getting this from. And it's a known forgery. They say, we published this, like we had a meeting. It's like almost like meeting notes. Our book, like, the theories of how these things come to be are so fucking stupid. Like, and then they quote you saying, my true nature, I must hide. This is in the Kyrie movie, for instance. I gotta call it, not Kyrie movie, but the one he posted. It's like, they give a quote of a Jew going, we hide our parasitic nature because, like, yeah, we said that. Like this is so fucking, it reminds me of, like, was it Matthew in the New Testament? Because I had to learn Christian stuff. This is on my own later. He says, let his blood be upon us and our children. And that's where you get generational guilt. This is a primitive form of guilt, that you are responsible for what your ancestors did. First of all, we won't get into who killed Jesus, but let's say you want to say the Jews ratted him out, whatever, Judas, great. And I'm responsible. Yeah, because your rabbis at the time said that was cool.
Oh, I thought,
that's the story.
I thought
That's
that
what we're saying.
that they considered that the Jewish people killed Jesus because Pilate said, "Well, do you want me to execute Barabbas or do you want me to execute Jesus?" And the people cheered for Jesus or whatever.
These are scriptures hundreds of years later, but let's go with their story. And then he says that apparently it's only in one of the Gospels, which I understand in Christian thought produces more debate if it's not in all four, but whatever. Where he says, one of the head rabbi or whatever, says, let this be upon our his blood be upon us and our children and our children's children. And so they've used that quote for centuries to do blood libels, burn them to the stake in the Middle Ages, all of that, crusades, the Spanish Inquisition, the pogroms, Jesus killers. And they say we're allowed because they said in our book, ours, the Christian book, you guys gave us permission to hold you guys guilty. First, like, it's so fucking stupid. Like, ancestral guilt. Like, I'm not responsible if my own sibling does something. I don't do the time for him. So, but in many parts of the world, that because we evolve as humanity, hopefully, that is a part of a justice system, that collective guilt. That you are, guilt by association or honor codes. So that still is, we have some of that in our society where you do get affected by the actions of those around you. But it comes from, but back then and in some societies, you literally will be punished. You might be raped for something your brother did because he stole. And this is part of the justice system. So again, I go back to the Matthew thing and let his blood be upon us. And it's that idea of ancestral guilt, which is so barbaric and not, I don't even want to say part of a justice system. And also, that's your book. And of course, you're going to give us that quote. And even if we did say it, I don't care. He's wrong. Like, there's so many levels. But anyway.
I mean, I don't want to get into the validity of mythology at this point in time. Like, that's like...
Who cares at that point? I even say, even if it, like, was. What does that have to do with me? But I think that this is a big part of modern anti-Semitism, and I didn't used to think that. And I'm like, come on, it's not. There, the Nazis changed that. You study this in history. Went from religious anti-Semitism, deicide, Jews kill Jesus, God, which never made sense to me because apparently, like, he was supposed to for your sins.
Exactly.
But let's leave that again. Logic and religion. not great. But let's leave that aside. It went from that, you learn this, to modern racism. This is not just for Jews. They started at the turn of the late 1800s and mid 1800s, measuring like with calipers and going around the world. Like it was part of anthropology, and like measuring IQ and jaws and that. And then the Nazis took that on, of course, and they had their measurements, and it became what's called scientific racism. So for a long time, people thought religious racism is done, like even the anti-Semitism. And I now very recently believe it's still the basis. I think humans were still our foundations. So they don't know why they hate it, but it stems from this original sin, but not the original sin of Adam and Eve, but like the Jewish sin of deicide. I think it's still there, even by non-religious people. They don't think it is. I think it's a subconscious thing. Again, it's my theory, that it's this, you're raised in a Christian society, even people are like, but I'm not Christian, but you were raised it, and it's baked into the fabric. And it even informs scientific racism and anti-Semitism, which is when the blood, for the first time in history in the Holocaust, you cannot convert out. I can't say, well, okay, I'm Christian, I'm joining. It's your blood, got Jewish blood. So I really get annoyed when people say, but it's not even a race. We didn't make it that, you did. That's history. So like or when they're like, Semitism, I can't be an anti-Semite because I'm a Semite, because it comes from the word of the Semites, so the Semitic languages, and that would include Arabs and then anyone, the Africans who are saying I'm the real Jew, whatever. So what kind of stupid semantic is that? First of all, we didn't create that term. A non-Jewish German sociologist in the 1800s made that term specifically for the hatred against Jews. So you want to change the term? Great, I would love to. Judeophobia, Jew hatred, I sometimes will use. But it's like, it doesn't matter what we do, then they attack the very word so that we can't complain about it. And then you're just left going, I guess they're just attacking our places. But you're right, it's not anti-Semitic, it's not anything. Move along, nothing to see here. And so then if you can't even name the thing you're facing, and you can't complain, then it goes on, and then you're shit on when you do complain. You can't win. See, they're canceling. Then I say nothing. It just festers, and it like a cancer. It's gonna metastasize. But then you complain, and they're like, see, the Jews always complaining. You can't win.
Wow, I hadn't even thought about that. Once again, we're speaking with Goldie Hoffman, a comedian, Goldie Hoffman. She did a skit that we watched on the show the other day. What was the response to that skit? It was a parody of Dave Chapelle. What did you? The comments seemed lively. So how did people receive your skit?
Oh, well, other than hey, one guy went down the rabbit hole of like, let's reenact, some murder of you or gas, whatever.
Whoa.
Stupid, anti-Semitic things like, oh, her name's Hoffman. What a coincidence. Several people have written stuff like that on the various videos, because there's also like clip versions.
Is Hoffman a common Jewish name? Like, I didn't even...
It's actually one of the Germanic ones that could be both Jewish and not Jewish. And it's nothing to do with the spelling, because that's just when you immigrate how they would transliterate, whether it has two N's or F's. Sometimes people are like, that's the Jewish one. It's not true. It can be either. And then I think in German society, there were laws about some names like Jews couldn't have, especially as time went on. Mm-hmm. But that's one of the, but even so, they're saying, oh, she's Jewish. Like, yeah, that's the point. Like, I don't know what's the coincidence here. I'm missing your thing. Like, yeah, I'm pointing out the double standard. You're like, Jewish. The three
Did you
brackets.
receive a lot of anti-Semitism in response to it?
Yeah, but like, just they're stupid. That's what it, or they're just saying, you're just the Jew, you're always, this is exactly what Chapelle and Kyrie are talking about. So they'll bring that one up. Once what I just said is that you can't complain about the racism your community is facing, because then you're called out for how dare people have accountability for that when it comes to Jews. But if the anti-Asian hate, the anti-black hate, we were all out in there going, don't do it. And then crickets when it's the Jews. And when somebody does speak out about the Jews, like, who cares? Like, fuck them. And they're always complaining. So the double standard, again, And that's my big thing. Jews are held to different standards completely. And when you're talking about double standards, or another word for that's hypocrisy, that is not justice. That's not just. So once you're in double standard land, you have to pull back and ask, is this, if I flipped it? And we all have to do this, like the walk in someone's shoes thing, and really ask yourself, oh, I do see it. And I have a friend who did say that, and he happens to be Black. And it was one of the best comments I got, but he did it as a voice message going, you know, I saw it, he shared it. And I said, I got to tell you, speaking of profiling, I did not think that you would like it. And he goes, you know what? And he shared it on his story. He's a Black actor, and he's not a comedian, but he's funny. And he said that I laughed at the Dave Chapelle monologue, but then I saw yours. And this is literally, now I'm going to be verbatim. And he said, and I realized she's 100% right. No, it's not funny. It's really not funny. And I said, I really thanked him, not because he's going on my side. Obviously, that's nice to hear. But he said, you did a thing that people don't do, the cognitive dissonance, and wanting and admitting that not only are you wrong, maybe potentially saw things wrong or didn't see things. Because I'm not accusing anyone. We all fall for shit. Not a saying, but it's to double down and say, no, it's not true. That's my problem. Like, here is the evidence, or go look for it, but they don't want to. And also the celebrity thing. He goes, I love Chapelle, but I think more and more, you know, he was saying that he's made change. It's becoming harder and harder to defend him for various reasons. And this is tough. Like Chapelle, especially as a Black, I can't speak for him, as a Black individual, a Black comedy figure. I mean, he's beloved by all of the world, America, but especially for the community, he's a hero. So to say that, I said, more than just agreeing with me and seeing my point, because even if you didn't, that's on you, but you really engaged with it. You asked yourself honestly, did I see this wrong? Would I be okay with turning on SNL, national show, millions of people around the world, it's on a regular network, and they're going, the Jew, haha, haha. And even if you dissect, you're like, but this joke is this, the joke is this. Great. What are people seeing? And could I do? And you have to be honest. No, maybe there's a double standard. Maybe I'm saying something is we got to engage with this. Is there a double standard? Are they damned if they do, damned if they don't?